All right, so here's the simple truth about learning JavaScript. It's not about how smart you are. It's not about how good at school you are, how studious, how good at math, how good of a logical thinker you are. It's just really about how you approach it. And that's basically it. Spoiler alert. When I think about my own journey learning JavaScript, I think it's less about kind of the code and more about just the pure nature of practice and just having that mindset of practice and really just about, showing up. And funnily enough, I see a lot of the same patterns in other parts of my life as well. Take, for example, I watched this podcast recently with the Primogen on Lex Friedman. And if you haven't watched that podcast, I highly recommend you guys check it out. It's awesome. On that podcast, he talks about how he's been through some really rough struggles with things like drugs, porn, mental health. And he's really open about it. And that kind of honesty, it's really brave. It's really admirable to be like that vulnerable and that honest about things, because people judge you, right? People judge you, and to have the strength to just come out and say, yep, I've had these struggles. These have been the issues. I find that to be really admirable, and it's really rare. It's really rare to see. And it made me like reflect on my own kind of struggles and the things that I've sort of started and stopped along the way, and how I've started things and maybe stopped too early and probably could have persevered and pushed through a little bit more. Talking about new skills that I've developed, talking about creative projects that I've worked on, even business ideas that I've worked on as well that I just sort of gave up on. Like I'll dip my toe in for a bit, and then like before you know it, I just quit. I just and I found like I didn't really give it a real shot. I was chatting to my best mate's older brother at a wedding just recently. Like he's a lot older than me. He's successful, and we sort of got talking a little bit philosophical about life and all these sorts of things. And he said to me, really what he's discovered is that the key to success, and it's kind of like a no-brainer, and that is really just to not quit at something. Just don't quit. And I know that this is probably the most obvious advice that you have probably heard before. And I know that everybody says that this is the most cliche advice, but when you really think about the meaning of this advice, it's just so profound. Because if you have a don't quit mindset, all you're trying to do constantly is figure out ways to make it work, right? That's all you're trying to do, is figure out ways to make it work. Obviously there's context with this. If you're a murderer, you probably should think about quitting. There are boundaries. Let's look at this with a level head and with common sense. But that sort of advice, it really rang true for me, because I just felt like this is something that I probably haven't reflected on enough. And it really hit me because I've seen this with so many people that I look up to, so many people that I really admire. I'm talking about people in, personal sort of achievements, like sports people, Kobe Bryant is a huge idol for me. His mentality towards work. Guys like Steve Jobs as well, I really look up to. And these people, they have so much in common, and that is just this kind of non-quit mentality, just always finding the way, always finding the answer. And a lot of these people are very honest about the fact that they weren't gifted, they just worked hard at something. They just worked hard enough at something. And they're the ones that kind of just stick to it. And it just reminded me as well, after I had this conversation, I used to be really serious into guitar, right? I used to play a lot of guitar. I mean, I'm okay at guitar now. I'm pretty rusty. I haven't played really well for a while, but when I was young, I was in a band. And then after that, I kind of did the solo thing and was just really getting into guitar a lot. But I remember at the beginning, I used to just really love learning Chili Peppers. I used to really like the Eagles as well. My mom's really into the Eagles, and she used to play it at home all the time. So I used to listen to the Eagles heaps. And so then I would start, learning songs, learning Eagle songs. And eventually I kind of moved into more serious, acoustic music, which was Tommy Emmanuel. I don't know if a lot of you know Tommy Emmanuel. He's one of the greatest guitarists of our generation. And I actually met Tommy Emmanuel at one of his concerts, which was just an absolute dream of mine. But his music is just crazy. Like the stuff that he can do on guitar is just absolutely insane. And I was just obsessed with learning his music. Like I just wanted to learn some of his songs. I thought if I could learn Tommy Emmanuel songs, this was like the pinnacle of me getting good at guitar. And I remember one song in particular that I started to learn at the beginning, and just how difficult it was to understand how to navigate through, you know, different notes on the neck, how I would have to stretch my hand to levels that I just didn't think were even possible, and how, you know, I really had to question what I was doing, and how I would have to question whether I could actually physically play these songs because they were so difficult. But through that process, I just kept going note by note, and I started being able to play his music. I mean, can I play Tommy Emmanuel stuff now? Well, like I said, no, I'm pretty rusty. I could probably play some of the intros of some of his songs if I spent half a day, you know, warming up the hands and getting back into it, which I've been meaning to do, definitely get back into guitar. But the message here is that learning those songs just came from pure repetition and practice, right? There was no raw talent there whatsoever from me. It was just pure repetition and practice. And so bringing it back to programming, you know, I find so many similarities with learning JavaScript. It's just about the repetition and the practice, especially when it feels hard. Because I'm not going to sugarcoat it, right? It is hard. It is hard. But when you accept that it's supposed to be hard, it weirdly gets easier. You stop like accepting that you will, quote unquote, kind of get it right away. And you start just sort of trusting the process a lot more as well. And so how I picture it is, actually, give me 1 second. And so how I picture JavaScript is something like this, right? You've got like an empty kind of cup. And so every day, what you do is some days you fill up the water a little bit. And so that is a day of some JavaScript, right? You've just filled it up with a little bit of JavaScript knowledge. But then the next day you come back and you fill it up a little bit more. And so that day was kind of a bigger day, right? But then the day after, it might just be a little sip. And so over time, what happens, right? It starts to slowly fill and fill and fill. And obviously, eventually, you know, you fill this cup and then you've got to start on another cup and you keep filling that cup. And I don't think the cups end, but when you start to get to this point, all the stuff here, it just seems so basic. And I know I've spoken about this before, but I think this is a really good analogy. Every day you're kind of tipping in a little bit more into your JavaScript knowledge cup. Now I've made a massive mess here. I better just clean some of this up. And that's kind of the same philosophy that worked with me with guitar, right? Is that, you know, when I started learning that first song by Tommy Emmanuel, it took me like a good 3 months to be actually able to learn it. And then the second song took me a lot shorter to learn because I had built up the muscle memory. I'd understood the patterns a lot more. You know, I've developed all the callus on my fingers. And so when you learn JavaScript, or, you know, any other programming language for that matter, I feel like it kind of works the same. You know, you start with just one line of code at a time. You start with just one small concept at a time, and you have these kind of moments where you're like, okay, I get it. Now let's move on to the next one. And you just have these moments, these consistent moments over time. And eventually you don't just understand what like a map method is. You can actually visualize it in your mind just by taking it one bit at a time and really understanding what you're working with and really trying to get the concepts day by day, just a little bit at a time. You know, and by the way, if you feel like you've got imposter syndrome sometimes, I do too. And what I mean is that all the time, even when I build things sometimes now as well, and it works, like I build the thing, I launch it, it works, and it's like, I have this really weird moment where I'm like, why does it work? You know, why did that just do that? And I still doubt myself. Probably have to work on some self-esteem issues, some self-confidence issues as well. You know, I still wonder if I'm even good enough to do these things. But I remind myself then that, you know, this stuff doesn't happen overnight. I've put in a serious amount of work and dedication, and I guess I'm worthy of it being correct. I'm worthy of it being right. And so that might apply to you as well. Who knows? Maybe I'm completely on my own here, but it's just about the practice. I would argue that even those people that are naturally gifted, they probably have some imposter syndrome as well, because I can guarantee that they are where they are as well because of a tremendous amount of work that they've done in the background, a tremendous amount of practice that they've had as well. And so behind every gifted person, every gifted person, is just this mountain of work that has taken place. That's just how it works. That's just how it works with anything. I remember when I finally nailed one of Tommy Emmanuel's songs for the first time, I had this out of body experience. It was just crazy, where I could see myself playing the song that I used to watch on YouTube. I used to watch this guy ripping through the neck, and here I was doing it myself. And it was just this euphoric moment that I had when I was playing it. And when I used to just continuously play it, it was just coming from my own hand. I was actually doing this thing that was coming from me. If you've ever learned an instrument, maybe you felt that before as well. It's kind of crazy. But now when I write code and when I build stuff online, I get that same feeling. I get that same feeling where I'm just this is crazy. I'm actually doing the thing that I've learned, and I'm doing it now. And it's all because of just continuous practice and showing up. And you also don't have to grind for 8 to 10 hours per day. And in fact, I think it's just a really quick way of burning out and then hating it. Some days you might just only need a few minutes. But then other days, you can put in the 6 hours or the 8 hours. The really important stuff is just sitting with it every single day for as long as you can handle at the beginning. When you first start learning it, it's hard. Now, I see myself now just sitting in front of my computer for 8 hours because I just know what I'm doing now, and I can just drill through it and just go. But at the beginning, it's tough because you're still learning so much. And so just do what you can and just stack it up over time. Think about your JavaScript cup, little bits every single day, and you just stack it up over time. When you get to sort of up here, things just start to get so much easier in terms of knowing what to do when you open your code editor and what you want to work on. So if you have been struggling with JavaScript, or with any other programming language, just know that it's not because you're not smart enough. It's just because you haven't got enough information in this amazing organ of yours, essentially your brain. So you just gotta keep feeding it more and more information around programming, around JavaScript, and things will just start to get easier for you. So if you can do that and you can do it consistently, you are going to get there, and it is going to feel like something where you're going to be having that out of body experience one day where you'll be coding, you'll be so deep in your work, and you're like, holy crap, I'm actually doing this thing that I've been wanting to do. And it's happening for me right now. So keep learning, keep grinding away, keep building things, keep at it, guys. And if you've got any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments below. I love hearing from you guys. I love all the comments. I really love this community that we're building here. So keep at it, and I'll see you in the next one.